Hello all and welcome back to the workshop. If you've got a component hi-fi system like mine, you'll know that it's quite a useful thing to be able to swap out various components. For example, if you need a new feature or if something wears out, and you can keep all the other parts. And I find that speakers are the parts that I keep the most, mostly because they don't go out of fashion and they very rarely go wrong. But when my center speaker started making distorted crackling noises, I needed to investigate. Let's go to the bench and I'll show you what the problem is.
Alright, today's experiment is to try to repair this speaker. This thing is possibly 25 years old and it's suffering from age. Let me try and get this close up to you so you can see the problem. Now, do you see how this rubber surround is deteriorating? It's perished, and that will eventually cause all kinds of nasty scratchy noises. So, what are the options? Buy new speaker inserts? Well, you can't get them. You'd have to buy a different brand and try and make them fit. But actually there's nothing wrong with the speakers, it's just the rubber surrounds, and you can get replacements, although they're generic, so I may need to adjust a little. So, here's what I bought. Two of these, there are two. And they will fit here, as I say, with a little bit of adjustment. The kit includes some glue with some very strangely worded instructions on the back. I think they translated it with Google Translate or something. So, first job is to take the speakers out, mark the wires, and then clean up. You'll notice, as there are 4 terminals there, I'm marking the ones that we used so I don't connect to the wrong one. They may actually be shorted together, but I don't care. I'll put them back the way they were. Alright, and now the second one. So the first thing to do is to remove what's left of the old surround. So I'm just going to pick at that. In fact, I'm going to get a screwdriver. Hold on. Alright, let's see if I can pick some of this off. This stuff is it's horrible, sticky gunk. Well, this is going to take a while, so I'm going to speed up the video until I get to the end. Now with the cleaning done, I need to just quickly check and see if the cone is properly centered, which it does seem to be, which is good. To keep the cone aligned, some repairers like to take the dust cap off and put shims in the centre to hold it in place. But I've had a better idea. I'm going to power up the speaker using a small DC voltage, and that should pull it into alignment, and also it will raise or lower the cone, and that will help me get the new rubber piece aligned properly as I glue it in place. And I found that 1 volt DC was just enough to raise the cone so that the inside edge of the new piece of rubber sat perfectly flat on the cone. Now this new piece of rubber is just a fraction too wide at the outside edge, so it doesn't quite fit inside the metal edge of the speaker. So off camera I took a pair of scissors to it and removed, I don't know, maybe 1.5mm all the way around very carefully, and it now fits in just fine. So the next job is to apply the glue. I'm going to do the inside edge first, and with that cone slightly raised, it should take really well. Let's see. With a bead of glue in place, I'm just gently pushing down on it to make sure that the glue is staying in contact. And over time I kept coming back to this and just running my fingers around it again just to make sure it was staying flat. Alright, that seems to have taken very well. The next job is the second unit, and I'm not going to show you that because it's exactly the same process. Now to the outside edge of the rubber, and I'm reversing the connections so that the DC current will pull the cone downwards to get the edge of the rubber flush onto the case of the speaker. Right, here we go. And now the process is exactly the same as it was for the inner edge, just a case of using a little spudger tool to pick up the edge of the rubber and run the bead of glue around. And I'm continuing to use that spudger to push down rather than my finger. And again, I periodically came back to it, kept running that round the edge just to make sure it was gluing down properly. And the same process for the other speaker, but as I said, there's no point in showing you that, it's exactly the same. With the glue dried, I'm just giving a little push on the cone to feel whether it's moving smoothly, and it is, which is good news. So now it's time to rebuild. The rebuild process is just a reverse of taking it apart, and with all the cables marked up, it's a fairly simple job. Do remember when you're doing this kind of thing, if you're using self-tapping screws, to wind the screws slightly in reverse before you tighten them. That'll help them get into their original location and not strip new holes. Okay, I think I'm done. Let's put the cover on and then we'll go and test it. Okay.
Need to be fostered until they're old enough for permanent adoption. Faylene Spalek has taken on the task.
Yep.
I fostered probably about 12.
And with apologies for the random cat video that appeared on the screen when I was testing, there it is, it works, it sounds fine. I'm just going to take the cover off and feel the cones to make sure they're both working, but I can already tell that it sounds a lot better than it used to, and I think I've been putting up with the problem for quite some time, not realising it.
3 more weeks. And then they will go to the Humane Society and get adopted out.
So that's another new skill learnt, and I'm sure I'll be able to use the same method to fix any similar problems in the future, which is great. And that's it for now. Join me in the workshop next time.